A very good morning to you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Today's video is all about euro dollar and the other major dollar pairs, and of course gold. So with that said, let's dive straight in. So starting off with euro dollar here on the daily is still internally bullish all the way from this low in towards this high. Price has now pulled back in towards the EQ, also known as the 50% mark, and is stalling over there. As we can clearly see, 50% mark, price is stalling. Price is pretty much stuck over here inside an area of daily demand, this sell before the buy. As you can see, however, we took out the low over here, the lowest low. So we grabbed that liquidity, and then afterwards the market pretty much reversed in towards the highs. Now, after this fractal break in structure, we pretty much created a new low over here, and we've now broken this new high over here, and this is going to become more clear on the 4-hour time frame. But what we can see is that we're stuck over here on the internal structure at the 50% mark at the EQ. The daily structure overall is still bearish from this high in towards this low, but we are really fighting with that overall internal bullish trend. So to really identify where euro dollar wants to head next, we're going to dive in towards the lower time frame, because if we view the 4-hour time frame, then it becomes more clear kind of the indecision that we have, but also what I was explaining on the daily, and that is the fact that we had that fractal structure bearish in towards downside, then we had that bullish change, pullback, grabbing liquidity under the lows, and now that bullish reversal in towards the highs, breaking the fractal high over here. So this is your fractal high break, but also pretty much this fractal high over here. So what you now have is an area of demand positioned over here inside. However, this area of demand is not that strong in my opinion, and the main reason being is that we didn't even close above this fractal high here or above this kind of structural high over here. So it looks more kind of like a liquidity grab above the highs than really a change in the overall momentum and the overall structure. So for myself, the ranging market is something that is more evident at the moment. We're just ranging in between the lows and the highs. Obviously, we have grabbed all the liquidity underneath the lows that we wanted to see on euro dollar. However, we're now just reacting to this clean move that we have on the left, and preferably we would want to see a push in towards this daily area of demand and this 4-hour area of demand before really looking for those high probability longs. Now, I will be looking for longs on euro dollar if we start to break this high over here and we close above that high. Then I'll be looking for that pullback, and then I'll be looking for that potential trade. Personally, not going long from this zone just because of the fact that we're really ranging over here from this high in towards this low. So from here, we can pretty much just start moving sideways for the beginning of the week and not really move anywhere. And if you look on the lower time frame as well, what you'll see here on the 1 hour, for example, is the fact that we have, if we just draw in the range trading tool, we have resistance at that 25 or that 75% mark, and we have pretty much perfect support at that 25% mark. So I just let the market do its thing inside of this range. I'm not going to be trading the mid-range, so people could be starting to look for longs over here, which I perfectly understand, because overall the market structure does seem like going from a bearish market in towards a bullish market at the moment. But for myself, I just can know and I can understand from what I've seen personally in the past, that the probability of these longs are just a little bit lower than what I'd like. Of course, we have that bullish market structure, we do have that liquidation, and we do have an area of demand, but I'll just wait for that double area of demand and focus my energy on some other pairs. So if we do see that demand confirmation and that order flow confirmation, we react, break this high, pull back, then I'll start looking for a long from here. Otherwise, what I'll wait for is I'll just wait. If we break this low, for example, I'll just wait for a further push down in towards this demand zone, and then I'll be looking for those longs in towards the highs once again, until obviously we break this 4-hour BOS. Then I'll start looking for those shorts once again. So that is myself for euro dollar. And now moving on in towards the dollar index, because of course we always like to use the dollar index as confirmation for our trades. And then what you can see on the dollar index is it does look a little bit cleaner than euro dollar overall. Now what we have over here on the 4-hour is pretty much extreme area of supply over here. Excuse me. So this area of supply could react as the catalyst to push price further down. With this wick over here, we've pretty much grabbed all the liquidity that was resting above these equal highs over here. So that could be the catalyst to now push price further in towards the downside. 4-hour structure is bullish. And over here on the dollar index, what I do like is that the internal structure has very clearly now shifted bearish. So I am looking for a pullback trade on the dollar index and further downside as long as this high sustains. If we break this high, then obviously my bias will shift and I'll start looking for that further upside on the dollar. So that is the dollar index for you. Now moving on in towards Aussie dollar on the 4-hour time frame. Real quick, there's the daily. So the daily, I'm still actually waiting for this area of daily demand to get hit. So I would prefer further downside on Aussie dollar short term. But yeah, I mean, we do, of course, obviously have, if we focus on the overall daily structure and then we just draw in the premium versus discount, we can clearly see that we are at the EQ of the overall swing range. So those longs can play out. Now, going back in towards the 4-hour, the 4-hour overall has grabbed all the liquidity which we discussed since last week underneath this trend line. So all the liquidity has now been grabbed, so that could fuel a potential reversal. However, if we now look and focus on the structure at hand, then we can also see over here, so we had pretty much that bearish order flow. So we had a buy and then a sell, then again came back, buy and then a sell. Then we broke this high over here, this fractal high, meaning that the overall structure is now bullish from this low in towards this high. Now this is your area of demand, this final buy hammer candle, that is where demand lies, so you could look for a potential long from there. However, this area of supply which pushed price below this area of liquidity and in towards the downside is still strong. We also had these equal highs right below it as well, which we're currently reacting to, and that is where the market is now pushing down from. However, if we really focus purely on structure, then this demand zone could provide us with potential entries. So then you want to go in towards the 15 minutes and start identifying potential trade opportunities. And then what you'll see is that the overall 15 minutes obviously is bullish. So this is pretty much demand zone number one. So we see the reaction over here where you could look for longs. Personally, not a big fan of looking for those longs yet. It was a little bit too early for my liking. Some people might have said this was demand zone over here, but for me, this demand zone just pushed price in towards this fresh area of supply. So I preferably would want to see that supply zone get broken and then that push down and then, for example, continuation. So for myself, nothing really much over here. I would also prefer to see this area of demand get hit. Now from there you could potentially look for those longs, but again, I mean, if you look at the overall dollar index and the euro dollar, and euro dollar is mainly the major dollar pair that of course we all focus on, and it's also the leading indicator on how to trade Aussie dollar and NZDUSD, for example, or pound dollar even, then you'll understand that the market is still very rangy for today. So I'll definitely be waiting until tomorrow before really getting in. Now that's Aussie dollar, so potential longs from that 15 minute area of demand. But also if we look to our left, we obviously are not really reacting to anything. So preferably what I would want to see is a push down deeper in towards here like euro dollar and then those longs to come. That is what I would prefer. Now moving on in towards pound dollar. And sorry for my voice, guys, there. I still have a pretty bad cold. But yeah, on pound dollar over here, ranging, guys. Ranging, so much range. It's crazy. Again, if we just draw in the range trading tool, then again, 75% mark is acting as your obvious area of resistance. So, I mean, yeah, what can we say? We react to this area of supply. There is still some liquidity open above this high. So if I delete the tool, you can clearly see there's liquidity above this high. We have a fresh area of supply. That is where I would like to look for a potential move in towards the downside again. But pound dollar is ranging the most out of all pairs, as we can clearly see already since the 14th of December. So I'm really just waiting now. I'm not going to be taking any gambles. What I would like to see pound dollar do is pushing towards the downside, and from this area, that is where I want to go long. So if we do get that push down, then I'll be looking for a long from there back in towards the highs, because then we also have a 4-hour BOS. After BOS, we expect to pull back. So that is the long that I'm going to be looking and waiting for. For the rest, short potential from this area of supply over here. So that is pound dollar, very simply said. Now Kiwi dollar, NZDUSD, what can we see? NZDUSD also very messy, similar to euro dollar. What we can see over here is we have this demand zone over here. So we broke above this fractal high after 4-hour BOS. What do you expect? You expect a pullback, and we did get a pullback already in towards this area of supply over here. Now again, same as on pretty much every single pair, we have a fresh area of supply. So that is where I would like to look for a potential move in towards the downside again. So if we do get that push down, then I'll be looking for a long from there back in towards the highs. So that is the long that I'm going to be looking and waiting for. For the rest, short potential from this area of supply over here. So that is pound dollar, very simply said. Now Kiwi dollar, NZDUSD, what can we see? NZDUSD also very messy, similar to euro dollar. What we can see over here is we have this demand zone over here. So we broke above this fractal high after 4-hour BOS. What do you expect? You expect a pullback, and we did get a pullback already in towards this area of supply over here. Now again, same as on pretty much every single pair, We had a liquidity low over here. However, on NZDUSD, we haven't yet taken that low out. So very contradicting price action in sense that liquidity is still open, but the structure has already started to shift internally to kind of like look like it wants to move up higher in towards, for example, this area of supply. So again, what I'll be waiting for is a push down lower. I'll be waiting for a long from this area of demand over here. If we push in towards there, we look for those longs. Otherwise, I'll just be waiting for a short from a higher probability zone over here, and I'll just see this as a range, which it is obviously. So yeah, just a waiting game over here on NZDUSD, supply or demand. That is where we take our trades. Moving on in towards gold. So gold, last of all, is also again very rangy. But what did we see? We saw a beautiful spike in towards that area of supply over here. Preferably you would have wanted to see the high get taken out, supply get taken out, then the pullback, then the continuation. Didn't happen, so for now just moving sideways, and I'm going to be waiting to see if we do see any bullish intentions coming towards the market. Do we respect this low or do we break it? If we break this low, then I would not be surprised if we start tanking down a little bit lower in towards that area of daily demand over here, which is still fresh. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a deeper push in towards there. So that is what I'm looking for on gold. If we do push in towards there, then obviously high probability longs could come into play. So that's it for today, guys. A little bit of a rangy market. So let's just wait and see what happens for today and start trading from tomorrow. Thanks, guys.